Welcome to another episode of The Latest with Maya. Today, I am very excited to be having a conversation with writer and director Taylor McFadden. Taylor's new movie, Lovers, just premiered at the Denver Film Festival. Thank you so much for being on my show. I'm really excited to be talking with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's get started. So, where did the idea for lovers come from?
So in the summer of 2017, I lost a dear friend to alcohol addiction. And over the course of a few years, I had lost several friends kind of in the music and art world. And I felt like I really wanted to talk about the experience of what it's like when you're left behind and someone isn't there anymore, and sort of the friendships that come out of grief, actually, and how it can be really healing to be with people.
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry that that has been something you've experienced so much of.
Unfortunately, it's very common in the art and music world. I think there's a very abundant party culture, and sometimes people deal with that in different ways, and it's something I've kind of just experienced since I was very young, and what it's like being in that world. And everyone kind of has to find their own path.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was the process of filming this movie like? How does it and how does it feel to have your creation come to life?
Oh, well, just getting to the point of filming a movie is a really big step. Um, I spent several years writing it. And then, you have to raise the money and all of this stuff. So it's been a long journey. Shooting the movie is the most fun part. I say our first day of filming was the best day of my life. It was just a really amazing experience. We shot the film here in Colorado, which is where I grew up, and had a really amazing time. I mean, this was an independent feature, so we shot the whole movie 16 days total, 15 in Colorado and then one in New York, which is a pretty quick turnaround for a feature film. But we had an amazing crew. I had known my DP for 10 years, and she was one of the first people attached to the project. So we had been storyboarding and planning it out for about a year before we ended up actually beginning to shoot. And there were some complications. There's a lot of live musical elements in the film, and we recorded those live. And so there was definitely a lot of ins and outs, but overall, it was just a magical experience. And it was so amazing to collaborate with everyone. We had almost a primarily female crew, which was something that was really exciting for me to be able to hire so many women and give them jobs. Um, and also just to have so many people backing this story that I wrote. When we finally did the credits and I saw all the hundreds of people that helped bring this to life, it's just a really huge honor. A movie isn't made by one person, it's made by many. And I'm really excited. I'm really proud of what we did, especially what we did with so little. Um, it's basically a micro budget film, and I think we made something really, really beautiful. And I'm excited to share it with people.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, the movie is so good. I loved it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So who has had the biggest impact on you professionally?
Ooh, like personal or like
Um,
people in the world and their careers?
yeah. Well, I have, okay, two parts to that question. Who has had the biggest impact on you professionally and then as a person?
Um, Both really good questions. I would say professionally, It's really amazing to watch some of these female directors. Like Greta Gerwig is just such a huge inspiration to me. We were kind of living in Brooklyn during the same time. And so her earlier films that were part of like, a mumblecore movement that happened, which was basically just these heartfelt real life movies that had, really powerful dialogue and were often like female centric stories. And, I got to go see those movies. And in some ways, I don't know that a movie like mine would exist without filmmakers like her having sort of paved the way for us, and kind of changing the way that narrative structure really happens and the way that people think of a film. And then to now see her being able to have success with larger budget movies, is also really inspiring because I think we really need female voices out there. And as a young girl, I didn't really have examples of that many female directors. There really weren't very many. I didn't know any for sure. And my hope is that young girls are growing up now and seeing a lot of examples of female directors, and maybe they believe that they can tell their own story as well. Um, and as far as personal, I would say my sisters. I grew up in a really big family. I'm the oldest of six kids, excuse me, oldest of six kids, and I have three sisters, and we're all kind of in the art and movie worlds, and they were just so inspiring. And we were writing plays and acting them and performing them for people. And we've just always have been making things and making art. And, we have this text thread where we're just constantly sharing each other's work. And, what do you think about this color palette? Or what do you think about this font? And I've always had that sounding board, which I know not everybody has. So I'm very grateful for my family.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Um, yeah. So if you had a warning label, what would yours say?
My warning label?
Yeah.
Um, I could cry at any moment. I,
I like that one.
I get very emotional, and I've been doing all these interviews for the film, and I just like sometimes I almost start crying because it's such an incredible experience to do this, and I make things like really from my heart, and I'm just a really
Yeah.
sensitive soul, and so yeah, I could cry like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely get that. There's sometimes that I'll start talking about something and then start crying. I'm like, I did not expect to start crying but something like I'm really passionate about. Like I did not expect to start crying, but here I am. So,
I think it's a badge of honor. I always joke that if you've
yeah.
cried before breakfast, you're gonna have a good day.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah. Um, so what motivates you to create even on days when you aren't really feeling it?
Oh, that's a great question because creativity it's really hard, and it doesn't I think people wait for moments of inspiration, and that if you're waiting for that, you will never make anything, and you have to really be resilient and disciplined and show up for your work. I think I've always known that I wanted to be an artist since I was very little, and I also, like I mentioned before, I really believe in the power of storytelling. I think it can change the world, as cheesy as that sounds. And I really believe that women need to tell stories. And to be honest with you, I was really scared for many years, and it took me a long time to write my first feature. But I sort of got to the point where I realized that I wanted to be an example for young girls. And how could I be afraid if I'm telling them to be brave? And so whenever I'm like feeling stuck or feeling like it's impossible, I'm just like, you can do this. And it's important that our stories get told. And if I don't do it, and I'm too scared, then who else is, you know what I mean? Who else is going to do it? So that's sort of what gets me going on those hard days, which are many. And when you're an artist, especially a screenwriter, is just reminding myself that it's important. I worked with an acting coach in New York that used to talk about how, we all have this unique voice, and it's not our job to judge it or, decide where it goes. But if we don't speak up, then that voice will never be heard in all of existence.
Yeah.
So I believe that is true for every individual, and I try to remind myself of that. I have that quote hanging above my desk in my office when I get discouraged.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, so what in your life brings you the most joy?
Oh, really good question. Well, I love music, and I'm so grateful that I got to make this movie that was about, one of the things that means so much to me. I love going to see live music. My partner is a musician. I'm sort of surrounded by people who make music, and there's something about it where you don't have to talk and you don't have to do anything and you can just listen, but you get to feel all of these things. And I think it's sort of like the one thing that brings us all together despite whatever we may believe or think about, anything. So I would say music brings me a great deal of joy.
Oh, I love that. Me too.
I saw your Taylor Swift concert. I was at
Oh,
that
yeah.
concert too. It was
Oh,
a good
cool. Yeah,
one.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have a favorite like musician or artist?
Oh my goodness, that's such a hard question. I'm like, what era, what time period?
Yeah.
I'm trying
Or
to think of
just one of them, one of many.
one of many. I've been revisiting Kate Bush a lot lately. She's kind of like a throwback for some people, but she was just this fiery woman with really wild vocals and yeah, she's kind of known because her song Running Up That Hill was in a TV show recently, so she kind of got a resurgence. But yeah, she's a powerhouse. I've been listening to her a bunch lately.
Oh, cool. I love that. Yeah, I have been there's so many people I constantly have on repeat. And one of them is Macy Peters.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that
I
artist.
yeah, I listen to her like every day. She she's so good, and she has like her lyrics are so I don't know, they all like there's a bunch of them that like really I don't know, hit me at like certain no matter what I'm feeling.
That's the other amazing thing about music is you can listen to it on repeat, which I usually do a lot.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I love yeah, the especially the songs that just like speak to you no matter what mood you're in that I just that if you're sad it like you can cry that but then when you're happy like it still like makes you happy to listen to it and
Definitely. The movie opens with This Is Your Life by Hannah Cohen. And that song I was listening to the whole time I was writing the movie. And whenever I would feel really discouraged, I would go on a walk and I would put that song on. And it brings me joy. It helps me when I'm stuck. When I'm sad, I listen to it. Like it's kind of been like one of those songs for me.
oh I love that. Yeah. Um So, what lessons from your childhood have most impacted your worldview?
Oh, from my childhood. Well, interestingly enough, I was homeschooled. So I didn't have kind of a traditional upbringing. And so I was able to really, my imagination was really given flight growing up in that way. I was able to like kind of build a world out for myself that I don't think a lot of other people were able to do because of being in traditional schooling. And we would study time periods for, weeks on end. We would live in these imaginary worlds. I would read tons of books about an era or something that I was passionate about. And it was like limitless creativity. And I think that really has affected my whole life. Not only am I always learning because learning was just sort of a part of my existence, but creativity is in everything I do, whether it's like making my bed in the morning or writing a screenplay.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Um, yeah, so I am pop culture obsessed and go in stages of shows that I cannot stop watching. Is there a show that you are currently obsessed with?
Um, well, I just binge watched Nobody Wants This on
Oh,
Netflix.
yeah.
I'm obviously it's a busy week for me right now, and I was like,
Yeah.
I just need like a feel good rom-com, and bring back the rom-coms.
Yeah.
Honestly, everything is so heavy right now, and between my film coming out and election week, I'm like, I just need to like feel good, and I thought it was such a sweet show, and it was so well written.
Yeah. Yeah, I am obsessed with that show. I love it.
Yeah, really good, really good. I was
Yeah.
actually bummed that I finished it last night because now I don't know what
Yeah.
I'll watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you watched the show The Lincoln Lawyer?
I haven't, no.
That one is also really good.
I'll have
I,
to look it up.
yeah, it's so good. They just recently released the third season, which I watched all, and now I'm bummed that I don't have new episodes to watch. So,
Well, good to know there's 3 seasons. That's better than one for me.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, what is your favorite movie soundtrack?
Oh, actually, oddly enough, I was just hearing one of the songs in my car. The movie Drive with Ryan Gosling is like one of the best soundtracks of all time.
Wow. I love that. I haven't heard that soundtrack, so I'm gonna go look it up.
I highly recommend, and it was another thing that I was listening to a lot when I was getting inspiration for Lovers and sort of the way that they used the score embedded into the scenes of the film to kind of show emotional peaks. And when I was working with my composer Justin Craig with the film, we pulled a lot of references of sort of these soundscapes that are underneath everything that kind of move the story along, but in a really subtle way with instrumentation.
Wow. That's so cool. I love that.
Hey, I mean, people don't realize when you hear a movie without the score, it feels very weird. And so, score
Yeah.
is such a huge part of the emotional experience for people.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, so what has been the biggest obstacle you've overcome?
Oh, hands down, making this movie. I mean, making a feature film it takes a million little miracles for any movie to ever get made, let alone as a female director. But, the jump from a short film to a feature film is a really large jump, and there's nowhere in between. And um, just to even have the courage that you can do it, I mean, you're making something out of nothing. You're creating a world that did not previously exist. And, um, you know, I started a company to make this film. I did all the financing myself. So putting yourself out there and believing that the story that you have to tell is worth telling it's been a huge, huge journey, and one that I don't take lightly. And sometimes I'm still like, did this happen? Like I can't even, it still feels like a dream, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is extremely impressive. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. So I love inspiring and motivational quotes. And this week, my favorite quotation is from one of my favorite shows, Outer Banks. And it says, "It might be stormy now, but it can't rain forever." Is
Hmm.
there a quotation that has inspired you lately?
Oh gosh. I have so many that I kind of go in and out of. Um, so I have a little necklace. I don't have it on right now, but it says, yes, thank you, more, please. and my family got it for me, my 40th birthday. But it's actually taken from a tiny indie film that not many people saw. But the concept of it is that when you find yourself in a situation that is that's good, that you feel yourself and you want to be grateful for, you just say yes to the universe and thank you more of this. And it's kind of a motto for my whole life of just whenever I find myself in a moment at trying to be really grateful.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a
Thank you.
great quote.
It's a really good movie too. I mean, it was a really tiny film, and I don't think many people have seen it. I'm forgetting the director's name right now, but I've watched it so many times, and some of those really small independent films are some of my favorite.
Yeah. What is the movie called again?
I believe it's called Thank You More, Please.
Okay.
Or Yes, Thank You More, Please. Yeah.
Okay.
Jason
Because
Reiter, I think, is the director. He's on he's also an actor, but he's directed a couple indie films as well.
oh yeah, oh so it's Happy Thank You More Please is
Yes, Happy Thank You More, Please. Yes, yes.
okay. Okay, because that's what I was thinking of because I love Josh Radnor.
He's great, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, if you love
Yeah.
him, if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, oh, I am definitely going to watch it because it's been on my list for a long time.
It's
So,
really sweet. I just made friends watch it recently, so it
oh,
holds up.
I love that. Yeah. Um, yeah, well, that was my final question for you. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. It's been so much fun talking to you. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for all of your thoughtful questions. And it was a pleasure meeting you.
You too. Thank you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You as well. You as well.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's edition of The Latest with Maya.